ਇਮੀਗ੍ਰੇਸ਼ਨ ਵਿਭਾਗ ਵੱਲੋਂ ਕੈਨੇਡਾ ਵਿੱਚ ਪੋਸਟ ਗ੍ਰੈਜੂਏਟ ਵਰਕ ਪਰਮਿਟ ਤੇ ਰਹਿ ਰਹੇ ਵਿਅਕਤੀਆਂ ਦੇ ਪਰਮਿਟ ਦੀ ਮਿਆਦ ਵਿੱਚ ਵਾਧਾ ਕੀਤਾ ਜਾ ਰਿਹਾ ਹੈ। ਇਸ ਦੀ ਘੋਸ਼ਣਾ ਇਮੀਗ੍ਰੇਸ਼ਨ ਮਿਨਿਸਟਰ ਸੀਨ ਵੱਲੋਂ ਅੰਟਾਰੀਓ ਦੇ ਇੱਕ ਕਾਲਜ ਵਿੱਚ ਕੀਤੀ ਗਈ ਹੈ। ਫਿਜ਼ਨ ਨੇ ਕਿਹਾ ਕਿ ਬਹੁਤ ਸਾਰੇ ਅੰਤਰਰਾਸ਼ਟਰੀ ਵਿਦਿਆਰਥੀ ਆਪਣੇ ਵਰਕ ਪਰਮਿਟ ਦੀ ਮਿਆਦ ਮੁੱਕਣ ਤੋਂ ਪਹਿਲਾਂ ਕੈਨੇਡਾ ਦੀ ਪੀਆਰ ਹਾਸਲ ਨਹੀਂ ਕਰ ਪਾ ਰਹੇ ਹਨ ਅਤੇ ਅਜਿਹੇ ਬੈਂਕਰਾਂ ਦੇ ਵਰਕ ਪਰਮਿਟ ਦੀ ਮਿਆਦ ਵਿੱਚ 18 ਮਹੀਨਿਆਂ ਦਾ ਵਾਧਾ ਕੀਤਾ ਜਾ ਰਿਹਾ ਹੈ।
And having had the opportunity to engage with students, with faculty and staff, in particular with the crew that you see standing behind me here today, gives me faith that Canada is producing extraordinary graduates. They're going to make a meaningful difference to our economic and social well-being, not just in the short term while they're here to study, but in the long term as more people transition to permanent residency. You know, it's important, before we get into the details of today's announcement, to reflect on the importance of immigration to Canada. I think it's very appropriate that we begin with a land acknowledgement, but we should also recognise, with the exception of Indigenous communities, everyone else who finds themselves in this country today came from somewhere else. The opening chapter of their family history was written by a migrant. Like the principal of the Lakeshore campus, part of my family, the majority of my family, arrived on a vessel from Scotland about 250 years ago, not 10 minutes from where I live today. The reality is, whether it was Scottish settlers in Nova Scotia 250 years ago, or more recently Syrians, Afghans, Ukrainians who've come fleeing war or persecution in recent years, every community in this country is represented by different diaspora communities who found themselves here to seek opportunity for themselves or their family, to be reunited with loved ones, or to flee challenging circumstances that were beyond their control. Whatever the reason, they make up the Canada that we know and that we love today, and we should be proud of our history because it creates enormous opportunities and an enormous competitive advantage for Canada to continue to be one of the most welcoming countries on earth. My view is that Canada needs to continue to increase its ambition when it comes to immigration. We need to continue to welcome more people for economic reasons and for demographic reasons. It doesn't take a labour force statistics specialist to understand that we need more workers in this country. Go down Main Street of any community and you're going to see help wanted signs hanging in the window. The reality is that the Canadian economy has had the strongest economic recovery from the COVID-19 pandemic of any developed economy. We've now seen GDP well in excess of pre-pandemic levels. There's more than 800,000 people working in this country today than were working before the pandemic. At the same time, we've seen a record low level of unemployment this summer, and we're more or less at that level today. Despite these economic successes, we still have employers who are having difficult times finding a job, finding workers to fill essential jobs, and in the long term, we have predictable skills gap in essential sectors in our economy that will demand we continue to recruit talented people from around the world to help make a difference here at home. It's particularly encouraging when we have the opportunity to work with international students. International students not only help make a short-term economic contribution, they help fill those long-term skills gaps. The International Student Program contributes many billions of dollars to the Canadian economy each year, but more than that, will strengthen the social fabric of our country for many years to come. In particular, when we're welcoming people who tend to be younger when they arrive in Canada and transition to permanent residency, it can help overcome a very challenging demographic trend.